As I was doing my research for this, I was struck by how ancient Egypt truly is. There are writings of sorts, 2400 BC. We're in 2000 CE. I mean, that's just amazing to me, the ancient nature of Egypt and some of the teachings and things that have come out of that part of the world. So, this month we will be exploring these 7 principles. And today my message is mastering the mental game. Our series all month is Life Hacks from the Universe. Life Hacks from the Universe. And we're going to look at the first 2 principles of the 7. And these 2 explore the relationship of our inner world, our mind, and the external world of effects and life situations, the reality in which we live. The first principle, the all is mind, and we live in a mental universe. The all is mind, and we live in a mental universe. Now, the book calls this the principle of mentalism, but I think that word's sort of been hijacked since it was used so many years ago and then translated and so forth. So I'm using the idea not of mentalism, but of this idea of a mental game. So we teach in our teaching that God is a presence, that God is a presence, an energy, not a person. And it is the all because it is the one substance, the one source of all that is, and it creates from itself through its intelligence. And this means that everything that is created contains what it's created from. Let's use an example. Anybody ever baked any cookies? Let's think about baking cookies. The recipe calls for flour, baking soda, sugar, salt, butter, brown sugar, vanilla eggs, and chocolate chips. Oh, yeah. When we combine all these ingredients together, spoon portions of it out on a baking sheet, put it in the oven, what happens? Magic happens. Magic happens. There you go. I like that. We get chocolate chip cookies, right? We get chocolate chip cookies. All of those things combine under the principles of cooking and science. There's science and cooking involved in all of that, right? So they combine to give us a manifestation, if you will, of those ingredients, alchemy, if you want to use that word, changing that into a cookie, a new form. Does that cookie contain all the ingredients? Yes, the cookie contains all the ingredients. The cookie must contain all the ingredients of the sources that go into it in order to become the cookie, right? Okay. Same is true with us. The same is true with us. We are sourced of the divine presence, the one substance, and contain that substance and its qualities, each and every one of us. We are each individually and uniquely expressed and manifested as you and me and everything that is. One substance. And just like when we open the door and pull out those cookies, there's 12 individual cookies there, right? They all look a little different shape, maybe a little different thickness. Maybe the oven's not exactly balanced on heat and some are a little darker than the others. I know my oven, my back ones get a little darker than my front ones do, and I got to flip the pan around. But they're still the 12 cookies, and they all still contain a part of those ingredients. So can we say that the cookies are individualized cookie dough, individualized egg, sugar, flour, etc.? Because each cookie contains the whole of its ingredients, just as we do. Each of us is all of the divine, but we are not all that the divine is. Like the wave in the ocean example that we sometimes use. The wave contains all that the ocean is, but it's not all that the ocean is. The same principle works with our thoughts. This idea of ingredients. The ingredients of our mind produce the forms in our lives. What we think comes into form. So you can see if we change the ingredients, if we change that set of ingredients will not give us a pot roast, will it? It's only going to give us the cookies because that's the cookie recipe. The ingredients, the thoughts in our mind are only going to give us the form that we're putting together there. So if we change that form, if we change our recipe in the kitchen, we can get a pot roast. If we change our thoughts in our mind, we can get a new creation in our lives. If we substitute butterscotch for those chocolate chips, we're not going to get chocolate chip cookies. We're going to get butterscotch cookies, right? Something different. So if we change our negative thinking to positive thinking, we'll get different results in our life. The way spirit creates through mind is the same way that we create through our minds. And this is the first part of that first principle, the all is mine. The second part is we live in a mental universe. Well, what does that mean? We live in a mental universe. Well, I'll share an example with you from Friday. I was getting ready to go play mahjong. I play mahjong on Friday afternoons. And as I was getting ready, I had a very vivid image of a friend of mine, a girlfriend of mine, pop in my head. I thought about her for a couple minutes, and I thought I'm going to give her a call when I get ready before I leave and just check in on her because it was a very vivid um, vision. And as I was finishing getting ready, my phone rang, and I looked down and I just smiled real big because it was her. It was her calling me. I've come to realize that what I think about comes about. Does it always happen that quickly? No. Am I always aware of it when it does happen? No, not really. But I'm no longer as surprised by it as I used to be. I'm no longer as surprised by it because that is how this works. That's how life works. We are powerful beings. There is power and connectivity in this one mind in which we live. And that's what our first principle means. All is mind, this one mind. We live, move, and have our being in, through, and as it does, lives and moves and has its being through us. And we live in this mental universe. Things work in our lives according to what we believe. It is done as we believe. So things work in our life the way that we believe, the way that we think. And we experience life in the physical based on our thoughts in the mental. Now, this is usually where we begin to think, okay, that's great and wonderful, but why do bad things happen to good people? Why do bad things happen to good people? And this can be a challenging belief to shift for us. The science of mind explains that this can happen because our thoughts and beliefs are not consciously aligned with the universal principle of good. I was listening to Mary Morrissey, Reverend Mary Morrissey recently, and she was talking about the brain. And she said that the brain, 95% of the brain activity is in the subconscious, working on the subconscious things, our body functions, memory, habits, the being, all of that stuff that it takes to keep us upright and functioning. And that we only have 5% of active brain, that we can changing our alignment with good is requiring us to work on that subconscious, that stuff we're not aware of consciously, to work on that consciously. Do we worry? Do we judge? Do we complain? These are just a few examples of things that keep us out of alignment with universal good. When we condemn and make wrong and judge others, we're out of alignment with that universal good. Because again, we're all connected in the one. Consider that this question can also be reversed. How come good things happen to bad people? How come good things happen to bad people? Sometimes bad people get rich. You want to know why? Is it because they're all thieves? Stealing the money? No, not usually. It's because they have a prosperous mindset. They believe that they deserve it. They believe that they deserve it. And all is mind. And our lives correspond to our mindset. Or as Ernest Holmes, the author of The Science of Mind, says, life is a mirror and will reflect back to the thinker what he thinks into it. Life is a mirror and reflects back to us what we're thinking into it. So the question is, what are we thinking? What are you thinking into your life? What is being reflected back to you in your life? And that's a good lead into our second principle this morning, the principle or the law of correspondence. And this is used in the book with the axiom, as above, so below, as below, so above. And it's teaching us that the way the mind works is the way our mind works. The way the one mind works is the way that we work. It's all, we work in the same way. It's the idea of the ingredients. We create the same way that spirit does through our conscious thinking. Our thoughts are the ingredients of our life. As above in our mind, so below in the manifestations that we see around us in our life experience. Now, in the Science of Mind teaching symbol, the creative process that we teach, the top, we have that. The top part is the seed. Then the middle part is the law or the creative soil, and the bottom part is the plant or the physical manifestation. As above, whatever the seed is that we plant, so below is what we get out of our manifestation. We can't plant watermelon seeds and get corn. We can't plant watermelon and get corn. We can't plant seeds of anger and get peace. It just doesn't work that way. As above, so below. The Science of Mind teaches a lot about this principle of correspondence. So I went to see what Ernest had to say, and he has a whole section that he entitles The Law of Correspondence. And he says that the limit of our ability to demonstrate depends upon our ability to provide a mental equivalent of our desires. For the principle of correspondence works from the belief or thought to the thing. But it is within our power to provide a greater mental equivalent through the unfolding of consciousness. And this growth from within will finally lead to freedom. So what is a mental equivalent? What's he talking about? What's he talking about? I'm going to invite you to try a little experiment with me. You willing? All right. Close your eyes for just a second. And imagine that you're at a farm or a farmer's market, perhaps, and you just see all of the wonderful vegetables and fruits and everything there. And you come across a stand of some beautiful produce, and they've got a section of tomatoes. And these tomatoes are beautiful. They have been washed and are sparkling clean. And you pick one up, and it's just the right firmness, not too firm, not too soft. And you can smell the aroma. It smells so fresh and tomatoey. And the farmer leans over and she says, would you like to taste it. And so she cuts it open, and you can see the beautiful skin, the flesh inside, the seeds lined up. And she slices off a piece, and you take it and bring it towards your mouth, but you smell that aroma of that farm fresh, rich tomato. Can open your eyes. Now, I can assure you there's no tomatoes in this room. Did you experience a tomato? Could you almost smell it or feel it or taste it? Or that is the power of your imagination. It wasn't real. It was in your mind. You created that in your mind. If you continue to do that visualization every day, every day, every day, tomatoes will begin to show up in your life. I have no doubt whatsoever. Tomatoes will begin to show up in your life somehow, some way. They will. But that's the power of our imagination. That is a mental equivalent. That is how we create a mental equivalent for whatever it is that we are trying to call forth into our lives. You have that power within at any point to picture it, to see it, to sense it, to taste it, to feel it kinesthetically in your body, however it is that you experience your imagination. It's the power to imagine something that's not here and imagine it into form. We've all done this. We have all done this. Whether it's creative writing, whether it's drawing something, we see it in our mind, we begin to sketch, and there it is. We've created it from the power of our imagination. And we can apply that power to other areas of our life as well. If you were here last week, we talked a little bit about the power of imagination. We used an Ernest Holmes quote where he said, "We must relight the torch of our imagination and remain faithful to our vision, for the realization of the presence is the real power in our life." Relight the torch of our imagination. It's very powerful. I mean, you just experienced that with the tomato yourself. If you think about that axiom, as above, so below, this applies to Holmes' term that he uses, mental equivalent, mental equal, something that corresponds to, a vision that corresponds to that which you are calling forth. As we think in our mind, we experience in our lives. Now, this power that we have to imagine has fueled all of today's technology, all of today's advancements that we experience. Our iPhones, our air travel, space travel, medicine, medical breakthroughs, all of that came because somebody thought beyond what was. They could look beyond what was happening in that moment, and they solved a problem. They made a discovery. They did something that triggered that, and they continued to expand on that thinking, just pulling that little thread to keep finding and imagining something different, something new. I was watching a movie recently, and I noticed it was from 2001, and the girl was using a laptop, and it was an apple. You could tell it was an apple, and it was blue, and it carried it like a suitcase. It was about this thick, about that big, and you opened it up, but the handles were permanent, and you closed it, and you carried it like a little suitcase. And I got tickled, and then I thought about it. It was like, that was just 2001. Look where we are today with the little surface things and all the little skinny things that we've got now. Where will we be 20 years from now? Where will we be what thinking? AI has blasted onto the scene because people were thinking about it, imagining what was possible, creating that. And out of that is going to come a whole plethora of more creation, more expansion. So what are you imagining for your life today? What are you thinking about? What are you seeing in your mind's eye as your next yet to be. Do you sit and dream? Or was that spanked out of you as a child? Stop daydreaming. Get busy. Don't listen. Daydream. Imagine something bigger and better than you're experiencing today. It's possible. We can dream and imagine for ourselves, for others, for our planet, our universe. It's unfortunate that today we collectively, the whole planet, seem to focus more on what's wrong and stay in that energy than focusing on the creativity and the imagining of what's possible, how it could be better, and staying there, staying in that creative field. We live in this field of infinite possibilities, and every moment is a moment of creation. So why worry and fret and stay over here in what is when that's yesterday's news, so to speak? It's what's being imagined and created into the future of our lives and the life of our planet. The book it says that the principle of correspondence enables us to reason intelligently from the known to the unknown. I love that. Reason intelligently from the known to the unknown. And that's that whole imagination, isn't it? Because we can imagine that if this is good, how much better it could be. If the iPhone is good, Apple does this all the time. What are they on now? Apple number 975 or something? It's like they just, and how frequently they improve it and send out a new one, improve it and send out a new one. Because they're creative in thinking and imagining what's possible. Excuse me. You're a powerful spiritual being. Each and every one of you are a powerful spiritual being. And you exist right now in this time-space reality to grow and to expand your awareness. That's our mission. That's why we're here, is to grow and expand in that upward evolution. Expand our awareness, expand our consciousness of what's possible, imagine more, and allow it to come into form into our world. Imagine bigger, brighter, better for you and everyone else. That's the power we have. That's what we've come to do. And we can all do it easily, just like we did the tomato. So what are you working on? What are you thinking about? What are you calling forth into your life? Is it better health? Is it answers? Is it creativity? Is it love? What is it that you're calling forth into your life? Spend time imagining that. Spend time creating that. And allow it to come forward into your life. Let's look at a way that we can do this with our spiritual practice this week. We can register for the newsletter and Mindful Monday. You'll get both. And again, that's a recap of today's talk and these practices. So your spiritual practice this week is to use your imagination. Use your imagination. Sit quietly. Close your eyes and think about something that you desire. And then use that powerful imagination that you have to create a greater mental picture, equivalent, something equal to or that corresponds to your desire. Whether it is the exact desire that it is, whether it is the feeling of how you will feel when you have it, which is usually really why we want something new in our life. I want to feel better. I want to feel better because I'm in a loving relationship. I want to feel better because I'm healthy. How will I feel when I'm healthy? And immerse yourself into that feeling, into that vision of what that would look like. What would I do if I were healthy? What would I do if I was in a loving relationship? What would I do if I was financially abundant, financially prosperous? What if I was wealthy? If you're more auditory or kinesthetic, speak it out loud. Feel into it and do this daily. Commit yourself this week. Just test it this week. Pick one thing. Pick one thing and just dedicate yourself every day to imagining it. Spend 5 or 10 minutes just daydreaming, imagining it, and calling it forth into your life. Develop a clear vision, build a belief that it's possible, and stay focused on it. Doing this, you will achieve the results in your life. I have no doubt, because that's the way it works. We'll close it out this morning with a final quote from the book that says, "The one who grasps the truth of the mental nature of the universe is well advanced on the path to mastery." This week, let's master this mental game. And so it is.